All right, guys, let's get rocking and rolling on this. So thanks everybody for coming, and we'll let some more people jump in. This is a pre-foreclosure workshop. Essentially what I'm going to go over, and by the way, guys, I want this to be really conversational. This is literally just a back and forth. The slides are just here to kind of give me like an outline of what I want to talk about. As I'm going through everything, jump in, ask questions, shout them out, put them in the chat, whatever you want to do. Okay. But I want this to be conversational. I'm going to go over a lot of things here that I'm not only seeing in my business, but that I'm actually doing to get an influx of pre-foreclosure leads. Now, there's a lot of people out there right now that are still in kind of denial about, mortgage delinquent sellers, and the market's still hot, inventory's tight. All this is true. But right now, despite what any news outlets are saying, right now is an amazing time to step into the market, learn how to help people that are behind on their mortgage, and get deals. It's happening right now. Just as an example, last month we closed on 11 properties last month. 10 out of those 11 were mortgage delinquent sellers. And that's 1 month. So that just gives you an idea of what is actually happening despite what anyone's saying. Okay, so the opportunity's there. Quick intro. I'm pretty sure I generally know everybody here, but just in case it's your first time, my name's Bob Vieira. I own a company called Universal Short Sales. We're a hybrid short sale company. So essentially what we do is we process short sales in-house and purchase them ourselves. And then we purchase them for other investors at a fee-based service as well. We team up with investors. Let's say you're a landlord, you want to buy a buy and hold property, it's a short sale. We will process the short sale literally start to finish for you. And then you'll pay us a flat fee for our service on the HUD. Team up with realtors, which is an amazing program we have, making the lives of listing agents whenever they have short sales so much easier. So then you don't have to worry about, chasing down the seller for documents, waiting on hold with the bank. We have the short sale literally broken down into a 12-step system, a science. I have a full-time staff that does it. So you as the listing agent, you could just take a deep breath and do what you're good at, which is negotiating, selling, and getting more business for yourself. And then we have our wholesaler JV system, which is we take dead leads that are, that want to be wholesale, they're purchased sub 2, that don't make sense for that, but they make sense as a short sale. And then we partner up with you on those dead short sale leads. So that's what my company does in a nutshell. All right. Like I said, guys, as we jump into this, fire out any questions, comments, anything. Okay. I want to paint a picture for you here with this slide. These are the current market conditions right now as we speak, just so I could drive home, and change your mindset that mortgage delinquency is happening right now. Active foreclosure starts, meaning the bank filing foreclosure and taking people to REO, is up 22% year over year. Now, in my opinion, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And the reason we see this jump is because mortgage moratoriums were enacted for the past couple of years, where essentially the federal government came in and they told the banks, we don't care how far behind somebody is on their mortgage, you legally cannot foreclose on them. Okay. Well, that's over. That is over with. So that's why we see that jump. Mortgage delinquencies themselves are up 13% month over month. Guys, I highly suggest following mortgage delinquency stats even closer than you follow pre-foreclosures, because mortgage delinquencies are those early starts when people just start to miss their payments. And what happens is a lot of people misconstrue pre-foreclosure stats and mortgage delinquencies. There's actually a big difference. They're two completely different statistics. Okay, so what you want to do is follow sites like DS News, Housing Wire, ATOM Data, CoreLogic. They're always coming out with mortgage delinquency reports, and that's really what you want to follow, even closer than pre-foreclosures. because that's going to give you a real indication of what's happening. Active pre-foreclosures. This is a crazy one. Active pre-foreclosures right now, as we speak, are increased in all 50 states. Let me repeat, all 50 states, active pre-foreclosures are up. It's crazy. So it's happening. That's just a snapshot of what's happening in the mortgage delinquency world. 3 reasons that you actually want to go after these pre-foreclosure listings and deals, okay? Reason number 1, and it's important to shift your mindset to this because it's going to help you give that sales pitch to the seller. You're truly adding value to somebody's life. You're not just chasing them down and giving them a cash offer or, giving them the standard listing presentation. You are selling them on the fact that you are truly adding value because you're saving them from a horrendous foreclosure situation. Reason number 2, which is incredible, the seller's motivation is baked in. As listing agents, as real estate investors, it's our number 1 goal to figure out why does the homeowner want to sell? What is their motivation? The amazing part about mortgage delinquent sellers and specifically pre-foreclosures, when you talk to them, you already know why they want to sell. That motivation is baked into the deal. Okay, so you could get to the crux of everything a lot faster. And then reason number 3, which is amazing and especially pertains to right now, guys, there's less competition on these deals. As I mentioned before, a lot of people are sleeping on mortgage delinquency because the mainstream media and news outlets, they're painting a very rosy picture still of everything. So a lot of people are still sleeping on mortgage delinquency. Now is an amazing time to get in the game. Welcome to everybody who just hopped on. Like I was telling everybody in the beginning, for those of you guys just hopped on, I'm going to be going over stuff. This is very conversational. Type your questions in the chat or just shout them out at me as we go. All right, guys, let's get down to the basics really quick. So what is a pre-foreclosure in real estate? A pre-foreclosure typically happens around the 90-day mark or so. Once a homeowner is around 90 days, 3 months delinquent on their mortgage payments, the bank begins the process of filing a foreclosure. Okay, they're going to file foreclosure and start the process of taking the deed back from the seller for non-payment. Okay, that's what it is in its simplest form. The bank then puts a lis pendens judgment against title, which essentially notifies anyone else who pulls title that, hey, this is an active foreclosure and we have the first rights to the property. That's essentially what it is. Does anyone have questions on the fundamental basics of what a pre-foreclosure is and what it means? No? Everybody cool? Okay. So, all right, this is the good stuff now. I'm going to go over 3 proven ways that I use in my business for you guys to get pre-foreclosure deals. Number 1, I always start with this because it's my absolute favorite. All right. So as you're marketing to pre-foreclosure leads and to mortgage delinquent leads, you will 100% come across homeowners who do not want to sell their property. They want to stay in their house. Okay. Now, what 99% of your competition does, whether you're a listing agent or an investor, all the other agents and investors out there, once they're on the phone with the homeowner and the homeowner tells them they want to keep their property, they hang up the phone and they immediately move on. I'm here today to tell you, do not do that. Okay. Now, what happens is when people want to stay in their house, there's typically an emotional reason involved. A lot of times they raise their kid in the property, they raised a family there. Maybe it's their first ever investment property, whatever the case is, but they want to hang on to the property. So they're going to apply for what's called a mortgage modification. Now, what a mortgage modification does is it's an application that the homeowner fills out, and they submit into the bank. And along with that application, they have to submit bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, all of their financials for the bank to look over. The bank is going to review their financials, and if they determine that the homeowner is in a better financial situation, they will grant them the opportunity to stay in the property and continue paying the mortgage. Okay, it's essentially a second chance. The bank's going to give them new mortgage terms and give them a second chance to make their payments. Now, the harsh reality of this is the vast majority of these modifications, guys, they get declined. The only way the bank is going to approve this modification is if they could see either A, the seller's income has drastically increased, or B, the seller's expenses have drastically decreased. Most of the time, neither one of these things happen. The modification gets declined and they have to sell their property. All right. This is not a dead lead. Here's what you want to do. This is how you handle the phone call. When you're on the call and the seller, typically they're going to say something along the lines of, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not selling. I actually want to keep the property and I'm quote unquote working it out with the bank. That's how they're going to word it. Instead of hanging up the phone, you want to do two things. Number one, continue to build rapport with the seller. So do not convince them to sell. Don't give them a sales pitch and convince them otherwise. You want to build rapport. And number two, you want to be supportive of their decision. This is absolutely key. When they tell you they want to keep the property and do the modification, be 1000% supportive of it. You want to build rapport, wish them luck with the modification, okay? And then you want to get permission to keep in touch. That's how you want to close the conversation. After you build rapport, after you stay on the phone and you support their decision, you want to end the call saying, hey, Mr. Seller, listen, I know the mortgage modification process, it's chaotic, it takes forever, which it does, by the way, it takes several months. If you don't mind, during your modification process, I'd like to check in with you every so often just to see how things are coming along and make sure you don't need anything on my end. That's exactly what you want to say. Almost 100% of the time, they're going to have no problem with that because you're not being pushy. They're going to say, yeah, Bob, no problem. You know, keep in touch with me. That's fine. Okay. Step number two. Okay. When you get off the phone, once you get permission, you want to go into your CRM. Now, this is where we have it down to a science. You need to do exactly this. Go into your CRM and schedule a follow-up call for once every 3 weeks on the dot. Very, very important that you're that accurate with it. You want to follow up once every 3 weeks during their modification process. Okay? And when you follow up, this is very specific as well, you need to call and text. Never just do one or the other. Call and text. And most of the time, they're not going to answer the phone because they're busy submitting paperwork and it's just super chaotic, long process. So most of the time, you're not going to get them on the phone. Leave a voicemail with your first and last name, and then immediately send a text message with your first and last name. There's two reasons you want to do this. Number one, by you giving your first and last name in the voicemail and the text, you are etching your brand into their brain. Okay, you are familiarizing your name into their brain. Okay, so they're used to you calling. Number two, you're actually building rapport and trust. This is the thing. Even though they're not going to answer you most of the time, you are doing what you said you were going to do on the first call. You're checking in with them. You're following up to see how everything's going during their application process. So you're actually, even though they're not answering you, you're building rapport and trust with them. So you have to be consistent. You have to do it once every 3 weeks on the dot, and you have to send a text message and leave a voicemail. It sounds silly, but I'm telling you, we get a lot of deals like this. We have this down to a science. We absolutely get deals like this. That was a lot of info. Who has questions? Fire away. Anything at all? Nothing. Okay. So another thing, guys, too, in your messaging, when you're leaving your voicemail and texting, you want to be very casual. You do not want to press them to sell. Never text them and be like, hey, Bob Vieira here, just checking in with you, just seeing if you're ready to sell yet. Like, no, do not do that. Do not mention anything about selling. They already know you're following up. You are the plan B if they need it. All right. You're simply, hey, Joe, Bob Vieira here, just checking in. I know we spoke a couple of weeks ago about your modification. Want to see how it's coming along, see if you need anything on my end. That's it. Super chill, super casual. What's going to happen is a lot of as you start to build a list of these modifications, a vast majority of them are not going to work out, and they will sell you the property because you have trust and rapport and follow up with them. And nobody else is doing this, by the way. You're going to be the only one following up with them. Unless somebody else is on the Zoom that's in your market, then they're going to be your competition. Here's a quick snapshot just to paint a picture for you guys. This is my current mortgage modification pipeline. We have around, this is like rough numbers, we have around 130 active people who are applying to keep their property that we're following up with using the system that I'm giving you right now. Let's say 50%, like I don't have stats on this, but let's say half of them get declined. Guys, that's 65 hot leads I have just from being consistent and just doing this process. Okay, and there's a very real possibility that half of them are going to get declined as well. It's an amazing way to get leads and help people. Questions, anything?
Hey, Bobby, it's Marlene. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, please. What's up, Marlene? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, real quick. So I totally get and agree with your strategy once you get these types of sellers on the phone. Do you have a list that you obtain to get these types of pre-foreclosure leads, or is this during your day-to-day reaching out to general people?
You mean, is there a mortgage modification list?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The answer is no, because the bank, that's a great question. The answer is no, there's no list because legally the bank is not allowed to disclose information. So if I owned a property, Marlene, and I fell behind and I applied for a mod, the bank isn't allowed to blast my information out there. So there's no list. But that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing. So you don't have any competition on these leads because, Marlene, if you and I are both in the same market competing against each other and both of us could go purchase a mortgage mod lead, well, then we're going to be fighting over deals and leads. You're creating this list yourself organically. That's the beautiful part about these leads. So there's no list. Everything is organic.
Great point. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Any other questions on mods, guys? Okay. I'm going to give you a bonus tip here. This is a little second level, but this is another amazing way to get deals now. So as you start to build this modification list and you're following up with people, every once in a while, you're going to get someone to say, thanks, but no thanks. You know, Marlene, I appreciate your follow-up, but the bank approved my modification. I'm good to go. Now, guys, you're not going to do this with every modification lead that gets approved. You have to use your gut feeling here. But if you're following up with a seller and you know in your heart of heart, in your gut, there's no way in hell they could afford to pay their mortgage, even though the bank approved it. There's no way with their situation, they can make these payments, continue to follow up once every 30 days. Here's why. When a modification gets approved by a bank, it's not over. They put the seller on what's called a, excuse me, a trial modification period. It's essentially a test drive. They're saying, okay, listen, Joe, we're going to grant you this modification, but you have to prove yourself to us first. So they put them on a 90-day trial modification. Guys, if the homeowner misses one single payment during that 90-day trial period, the bank cuts them off completely. They rescind their application and the homeowner is done. They cannot apply for another modification and they have to sell the property. So again, you're not going to do this with everybody, but use your gut. If you think somebody got their modification approved, but you really don't think they're going to be able to pay the payments, follow up during the trial modification once every 30 days, not once every 3 weeks, once every 30 days, because they're going to get judged by the bank and evaluated at every 30-day point. Questions on that? And this is a second level way to get deals, because think about it. Even if one of your competitors is smart enough to follow up with someone during a mod application, guess what? I guarantee you they are dipping out as soon as the homeowner is like, oh, my modification got approved. So this is another, it's a little second level, but this is an excellent way to get business. Questions on anything modification related at all, guys? Questions, comments? Fair enough. If you guys think of anything, shout it out later. All right, moving on to number 2. Call, texting, and emailing pre-foreclosures. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because it's pretty simplistic, but the key here is you want to generate whatever your pre-foreclosure list is. You don't want to have too many open lists and you're calling one, SMS blasting another, mailing another. When it comes to pre-foreclosures, it's very difficult to get in touch with the homeowners. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. A lot of them are in hiding in a sense. They're getting bombarded with threatening letters, phone calls, etc. from their mortgage servicer. So some of them won't answer the phone, but you could get them via email. Some of them won't answer text messages, but maybe you send them a mailing letter, you could get them. So the point is, if you have a list of 1,000 pre-foreclosures, guys, you need to work every avenue that you're doing, whether it's mailing, calling, texting, to the same list, the same people. A lot of people spread themselves too thin. You want to do whatever you're doing, mailing, calling, whatever it is, hit the same list over and over again, because it's going to increase your chances of actually reaching the pre-foreclosure seller. Now, I don't know what you guys use as your calling system. I'm a fan of leverage. I think that if I sit there and cold call myself, it's a bad use of my time, in my opinion. So I use a company called CRI. I just started using them. They have a team of virtual assistants that essentially make calls for you, and then the inbound lead comes. Okay. Another route you could go is you could hire VAs yourself off of Upwork, Bruntwork. There's a million different places to get virtual assistants. And then you could give them a script and train them yourself. Really, you could do whatever works for you, or, you could do the cold calling yourself, whatever works, but I like to outsource that to a company. Okay. When it comes to SMS blasting, I use REI Reply. I know a lot of people like to use Launch Control. The biggest thing though, what I would personally do is use systems like Chat GPT to make sure you have a really unique message. So is anyone here doing SMS? Are you guys doing SMS right now? Anybody? Nobody's doing SMS? Okay. So if you start to do SMS blasts, they're very effective, but what's happening is the carriers like Verizon, etc., they're starting to block messages because they look at it as spam because there's so many people doing it. Jimmy Green's doing SMS. So you want to be very, very unique with your messaging. I like to use Chat GPT for it. You want to type in, hey, come up with a message to, let me buy people's house in pre-foreclosure or whatever the case is. But yeah, you have to be unique or else your messages are just going to get blocked. Email. Guys, don't sleep on email. So many people do not send email blasts. I have gotten pre-foreclosure deals by simply email blasting pre-foreclosure lists. I would highly suggest looking into that, especially if you're in a market that doesn't have a ton of pre-foreclosures. Let's say you have a list of like 500 pre-foreclosures. You want to make sure you're hitting that list in every possible way to touch those homeowners. I literally just closed on a deal last month. That was a short sale that we got from a pre-foreclosure email campaign in New York. So some people, it's just weird, man. Some people, they just don't answer their phones. They'll just ignore text messages, but for whatever reason, they're comfortable talking email. So don't sleep on the email. And then the one thing I'll tell you is you need to be short and sweet. Where I see a lot of investors and realtors make big mistakes on their email campaigns is they think just because it's an email, they're going to send this long, like, 3 or 4 paragraph. Nobody wants to read that. I mean, I'm just being honest. People are going to think it's spam or they're just going to be too lazy to read it. So I'll give you guys exactly. This is my email template here. Not rocket science. It's literally that simple and it works. You could steal it, use it, take a screenshot, a picture, whatever. It's so simple. It's like embarrassing, but it's literally what I use and it works. So especially when you're emailing people in pre-foreclosure, you want to use a variation of this, guys, because first off, people have short attention spans now to begin with in the economy in the world that we live in. But number two, you don't want to come off as spammy. And, these people, again, they're getting letters, things posted to their door, they're getting phone calls. So when they see, let's say a subject line, let's say you put their property address and then your name or your property address and whatever, they automatically think it's a mortgage servicer or like a debt collector. So what I like to do in the subject line, you want to be super short. The strategy I use is I just put the address, nothing else, because that piques their interest. And your main goal is to get them to open the email. That's all you care about. So make your subject line super short. If they just see their properties, they're going to be, who the hell is this Bob Vieira guy? Why did he just send my property? What does he want? And then they're going to click on it. Okay, that's what you want. And then the email, the body of the email, just get to the point. Hey, my name is Bob Vieira, Universal Short Sales. Just want to reach out, see if you would consider selling. Please let me know. If so, happy to set up a call. That's it. Short, sweet, just be a human being, not a robot. And like I said, we close deals with this simple ass template. Okay, cool. So the big thing, like I said, just work the system. And then another tip for you guys too, this is really important. When you're creating your pre-foreclosure list, what most people do is they'll just generate one single list of pre-foreclosures. In my opinion, is don't do that. You want to always make 2 separate lists. You want one list to be pre-foreclosures, okay, notice of defaults, and you want the second, pull a separate list of just auction properties. Okay, I know Justine and I were just talking while we were waiting for everybody else to come on. She mails to auction leads, right? Well, Justine, you could jump in here, tell me if I'm wrong. Your messaging when you send your mailers to auction leads are different compared to someone in just a traditional pre-foreclosure.
Correct. Yep. Just, it's 2 weeks out that I
Yep,
will be mailing, hey, listen, an alert. Because some people are
100%.
too busy in life, so they don't realize, and then hopefully they call me. So,
Bingo, bingo. And that's why the reason Justine does that, and she's smart to do that, guys, is because your messaging to someone who's on the auction block is going to be a lot more urgent compared to someone who like just entered pre-foreclosure. Okay, so generate two separate lists so then you could message them differently. You always want to do that. Guys, questions on anything with this system at all? Okay, cool. All right, so the final source I'm going to talk to you guys about, I absolutely love this one. It's so effective. It's so amazing. Pre-pandemic expired short sales and pre-foreclosures. So right before 2020, right before COVID hit, there was a good amount of people, even though it was a hot market, there was a lot of people that were behind on their mortgage and or in a short sale situation that gave the property to their realtor to put on the MLS to sell. They were motivated sellers on the MLS. Fast forward to, we all know what happened in early 2020, the pandemic hits, and the federal government stepped in and they enacted mortgage moratoriums, okay? They essentially said to the banks, no matter how far behind somebody is, legally, you are not to foreclose on them. So this was a saving grace for a lot of these people because what they did was they said, oh, well, if the bank can't foreclose on me, I'm going to hang out for a little bit because I have no reason to sell. So they took their properties off the market. Guys, when they did this, two things started to happen. Number one, all the interest and penalties just continued to accrue because they took their property off the market, right? The second thing that happened, which is devastating to a lot of people, which I see the effects of now, people entered the COVID forbearances that all these banks were offering. The problem with the COVID forbearances, all of the penalties and fees and the interest and the back payments got tacked on to the principal balance. They got tacked on to the end of the loan. So a lot of these people that were in trouble and in pre-foreclosure, they had equity when they were first looking to sell. Guess what? They don't have equity anymore. They do not have equity in their house. A lot of these people are in a worse off financial situation now than they were before the pandemic. It sounds crazy because it's 2023, but I'm telling you, there are amazing hidden gems back there. I've gotten multiple deals. I started doing this in like midway through 2021 and it works. It absolutely works. So what I like to do, the sweet spot I like to hit, guys, is I like to go all the way back to November-ish, November 2019. And then you want to do a keyword search of, well, I love short sales, obviously, that's my niche. So I do a keyword search and search for failed listings that were short sales specifically, but you could do it for short sales and you could do it for pre-foreclosures, either or. This is an amazingly effective way to get business, and it's similar to the modifications. Not a lot of people are doing this. I'd be surprised if anyone else besides the people who, talk to me on my webinars are doing this kind of stuff. Now, something you want to remember with these lists, don't get discouraged because you're going to go back and pull the list. It's not going to be like a shit ton of properties. It's not going to be like thousands of properties. Okay. It's going to be a small list, but it's very targeted. It's a very targeted, effective list. It's just small. Okay. Before I show you guys how to do this in PropStream, do you have questions for me? Nothing. Got a quiet group today. Okay. Let me try to get out of this. Shit. There we go. I'm gonna run through. So do you guys want me to do this, or like, do you guys use PropStream? You want me to show you how I go back and pull it, or? Like, is this valuable if I show you how to do it? Yes, no, maybe. Does anyone have PropStream here?
I have, not right now, though.
Okay, Sandra says yes, John says yes. Okay, cool. So let's do it. All right. Go through PropStream. I'm just going to use Cook County, Illinois, just as a quick example. Just let this load here. Tom says I use PropStream too. Cool. So, all right, we're going to go in the search bar, and this is recorded, guys, by the way. So like if I'm going too fast or you like forget to ask a question or whatever, you could just go back. You'll have the recording. You just fast forward to this part. So you just simply go in the search bar, type in the county. By the way, too, for any realtors on here, you guys could do this on the MLS. Obviously, I don't know how to do that, but I mean, it's the same thing. You do this on the MLS. Okay. Going to go to filters. You're going to go to MLS status first, right here. We want failed listings. Okay. Then we want to go to the listing date, 2019. Just for the sake of argument, we'll go by. I like to do November. Maybe you want to be more aggressive. Let's do January. Let's do the beginning of 2019. Just for the hell of it. Okay. And then, guys, don't forget to do this. Keyword search here. Again, I always search for short sales. If you want pre-foreclosure, just type in pre-foreclosure, or you could do it down here as the pre-foreclosure. But I like to look for short sale deals. God damn it. So we're going to do, I'm going to type in short sale. Now what that does, don't type in with an S. Don't do that. Type in short sale. What that does is that's going to pull up all the listings where the, where they have, where the real estate agent has short sale listed in it. And then you'll see right here, guys, 240 unique properties pull up. Okay. That's not a huge list. 240 is not a huge list, but again, it's a very targeted list. Think about this list of 240 people. You know for a fact that every single one of those 240 people had their properties listed on the MLS, in this case, as a short sale. Okay. Questions on that, guys? You want me to go through anything again? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's another awesome way to get to get business. And that's sick too. If you're operating in multiple markets and multiple counties, well, then you could get scale and you could get more and more failed short sale listings. So, all right, one sec. Losing my voice here. So what's the messaging? Once you get these failed short sale and pre-foreclosure listings on the phone, number one, avoid the greetings. I don't know if you guys are really into like hardline sales scripts, whatever. Avoid the greetings. Hey, Bob, how's your day going? Oh, it's, don't greet them. Don't talk about the weather. You want to be polite, but get to the point. All right. Because these homeowners have been through a lot. Even if they went through the short sale process and it actually failed, or the pre-foreclosure process, they've been through the ringer. They don't want to, be finessed on the phone. Get to the point. Hey, Joe, Bob Vieira here. I see you were looking to sell the property over at 123 Main Street a while back through a short sale. Figured I'd give you a shout, see if you're still interested. Boom, that's it. That's all you want your messaging to be. Very casual, very conversation. Now, as the conversation is flowing and you're building rapport, this is key. You want to explain to them why their short sale failed. Okay? Because if it wasn't a case where they just pulled it off because of the moratoriums, if they actually went through with it and it failed, you want to explain to them, listen, there's multiple reasons your short sale could have failed. this is what we specialize in. We specialize in pre-foreclosures and or short sales. We could assess your situation and solve your problem. For example, a lot of short sales fail, guys, because of the third-party appraisal. A lot of homeowners don't even realize that their short sale deal failed. It did not work out because the appraisal came back too high. In their minds, all they know is they tried a short sale and the bank said no. If you could explain to them that, hey, look, a main reason your short sale maybe failed was because the appraisal came back too high. You know, when we have systems that could deal with that, that alone is going to get you the deal. Okay. And use that same principle with a failed pre-foreclosure. Same principle. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper about how you want this conversation to go with a pre-foreclosure seller. As I just mentioned, you know, I'm not a sales guru. I'm not like a sales guy. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm not a sales script guy. I know some of you may like to use sales scripts, and if you do, that's fine. Okay, nothing wrong with a sales script. In my humble opinion, when you're talking to pre-foreclosure sellers, I would suggest throw that sales script in the garbage. Do not use your typical sales script when it comes to pre-foreclosure sellers. The last thing you want to come across as a greedy investor and or real estate agent that's just trying to profit from the situation that they're in. All right. Pre-foreclosure sellers are extremely delicate. You need to have a relaxed tone. You know, if you're someone who's upbeat and you're very, very energetic, when you're talking to pre-foreclosure sellers, tone it down a notch or two. Okay. Relax, let the conversation flow, and just be super chill and helpful. Ask questions. You should literally be listening and letting them do the talking 80 to 90% of the conversation, literally. Okay. They're going to vent to you about how they hate their bank and they're getting screwed over. Let them talk, get it off their chest, and then you solve their problem. Okay. Now, as they're talking and as you're asking them questions, there's 4 extremely important questions you need to ask them. Okay, this is crucial. Question number 1 has to be, how many months are you behind on the mortgage? The reason you need to ask this, especially in non-judicial states where the foreclosure process moves extremely fast, you need to know how much time you're working with to help them and solve their solution. All right. Once they answer that question, guys, your immediate follow-up question has to be, okay, has the lender filed a foreclosure on you? Have they started the foreclosure process? Again, you need to know this stuff because that's going to give you an idea of, 1, what are the back payments you owe? And number 2, how much time do you have to solve their problem? Okay. Once they answer that question, if the answer is yes, that the bank has filed a foreclosure, you need to immediately figure out, okay, did they give you a sale date? Is there a foreclosure auction date? Because if the foreclosure auction date is in 2 weeks compared to a month, that's going to highly have an effect on how fast you have to move and what your next step is going to be. Okay. Once you figure those 3 questions out, you have the answers. The 4th one needs to be, how much do you owe? What's your estimated mortgage balance? The reason this question is very important because that's going to determine your exit strategy. Okay. Is it going to be a short sale, sub 2, whatever the case is? Figure out how much they owe. Is everybody good with this? You take a screenshot, you do all your notes, everything. Everyone good with the questions? Okay, cool. All right. So after you find out the mortgage balance, there's multiple exit strategies you're going to use to invest in. The beautiful thing about pre-foreclosures, guys, number 1, you're solving an amazing issue for the seller. But number 2, there's literally so many different exit strategies. I'm going to give you guys a couple here just to think about and like keep fresh. But I mean, my God, there's so many ways to help the homeowner and profit from these situations. There really is. Number one, obviously I'm going to start with short sales because I'm biased, but a short sale is, okay, so let me start by saying this. You're going to start to see a ton of these. Don't think that you're not, especially in markets like New York, New Jersey, Florida, Pennsylvania, any of these markets where the foreclosure process gets dragged out by the seller, you will see short sales, okay? A short sale is when a homeowner's mortgage balance exceeds the as-is value of their property, okay? They are underwater. So for example, the property's worth $250K, but they owe 300. They are underwater. They owe more on the property than what the property is worth. You have to be on the lookout for these because even in really hot markets, people will find ways to lose equity in their house. They take HELOCs out to buy that brand new boat they always wanted. They let their property get dilapidated, so the property itself loses value, okay, and that eats up their equity. People, they take multiple mortgages out. There's so many different things that happen once people get deep into pre-foreclosure that causes them to lose equity. We're seeing it right now in real time, all right? So pay attention to those and get the mortgage balance over the phone, so then you know immediately over the phone, okay, they owe X. Oh, wow, this is probably a short sale. Questions on that, guys? Cool. Another popular exit strategy is sub 2. I just read a book by Pace Morby. I'm sure everybody knows who Pace Morby is. Super famous, super popular sub 2 guy. I just read his new book that's out. And one thing I found was amazing that I didn't realize about him. The majority of his deals, besides JV deals, obviously, but the majority of his deals that he gets direct to consumer are from pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are an incredible sub 2 opportunity. So if you're in the market for these kind of deals, you need to be marketing to mortgage delinquent sellers. All right. Because if their back payments aren't a ton, you can make the back payments current, take over the mortgage, and then get yourself an amazing deal. Now, obviously, especially in these deals, you don't want to take what the seller gives you for granted over the phone. You want to immediately get a third-party authorization signed, and then you want to verify how much they owe. You know, you want to verify the loan term and then the interest rate, because you're assuming, right? Whereas in a short sale, the loan term, the interest rate, who really cares? But in a sub 2, you need to verify all this stuff. But yeah, I found that amazing when I was reading his book, that the majority of his sub 2 deals are pre-foreclosures. So yeah, you need to be marketing to mortgage delinquent sellers, especially if you're looking for sub 2s. Another very popular one is novations. I just had the king of novations, Rich Wanders, speak on one of these calls a couple weeks ago. And a lot of pre-foreclosures you talk to are going to be retail properties. They're not, you know, properties that need to be fixed up. They're in good shape. I'll tell you what, we're seeing last month alone, we had 3 properties that were like this, retail. Beautiful condition, new construction. People just purchased these properties. They're in pristine condition, but because of job loss, they're behind on their mortgage now. Well, deals like this, guys, with equity in it, make for amazing novation opportunities. So that's another reason too, because a lot of people in pre-foreclosure, you know, their houses are still in good condition. So there's a lot of novation opportunities. And we actually do novations on short sales, but that's really nuanced. And I mean, that's a whole different, you know, that's a whole different ballgame, but it's the same concept essentially. But yeah, there's so many different exit strategies when it comes to pre-foreclosure leads. You could list them as a real estate agent. If they're underwater, you could help them with a short sale. You could do a traditional wholesale deal. You know, the possibilities are endless. So I just literally gave you guys a few right there, just to get your brains going. Now, this is absolutely crucial. So after this call, if you guys are gonna go, pursue mortgage delinquent sellers and especially pre-foreclosures, you need to figure out how to postpone a sale date. Right now, because banks are allowed to foreclose, they are foreclosing like gangbusters. Okay? Banks have bad debt against their books, and they're looking to get that bad debt off as soon as possible. So they're rushing to foreclose on people. So as a realtor or as an investor, in your pocket, you need resources to be able to get sale dates postponed for homeowners. So then you have the time to help them. This is so crucial. Guys, we have to do this honestly on like maybe 30 to 40% of our deals that we're doing right now. We have to help the homeowner postpone a foreclosure sale date to even get the deal done. The best way to do that, the most ideal way, is by using an attorney. That's the cleanest way to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of homeowners that are in pre-foreclosure, they can't afford an attorney's service. So most of the time, that's not going to be an option for you. All right. The second most common one is to file a motion. I personally love when this is an option because it's super clean. It's not going to be an option on every time, but in your county, whatever county that you're operating in, right now, before you even have a pre-foreclosure deal and you're in this situation, I would highly suggest calling the county now, figure out what their process is to file a motion. Okay. It's called a motion to postpone the foreclosure. And every county has their own version of this, but essentially how it works, you could call the county. Okay. They're going to have a form you fill out. Typically it's on their website. Unless it's one of these like one-horse towns where, good luck trying to get anything on their website. But most of the time, go to their website, download the form and fill it out, okay? The entire goal with filing this motion is to get a hearing with a local judge. That's your complete objective. You want to file the motion, submit it, get a hearing with the judge, and then the homeowner goes in front of the judge and they make their appeal. You're going to have to submit a hardship, a purchase contract, a listing agreement, etc. But your main goal is to get the seller in front of the attorney to plead their case on why they need to postpone their sale date. All right. Now, this is a lot more applicable in judicial foreclosure states where there's judges involved. Because in a lot of non-judicial foreclosure states like Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, etc., because the bank doesn't have to sue you to foreclose, it's a lot harder to file a motion because really there's not even a judge involved. So this is good. Like if your markets are in New York or Florida or Jersey, this is a really effective method typically. All right. And the other way that is very effective is a skeletal bankruptcy. A skeletal bankruptcy is essentially when the homeowner goes down to the courthouse and they file the paperwork for a bankruptcy and they pay the filing fees, but then they don't have to ultimately go through the whole process. What filing the bankruptcy does is it causes the bank to immediately stop their foreclosure action. So I saw Larry was smart enough to take a picture of this. Anyone else? Leave this up, take a screenshot, a picture, whatever. These, like literally this slide alone will make you money because you have to be prepared to be resourceful. The point of being an exceptional investor or an exceptional real estate agent is being able to go above and beyond for the seller in situations like this. And also, guys, guess what? You're going to win yourself deals by doing this. Because if you're hitting an auction list and the auction is in a couple of weeks and you're resourceful enough to know how to get it postponed for the homeowner, you're going to get the deal based off that. So questions on that? Questions on this? Okay, moving on. Stay in touch, guys. This is a way to stay in touch for me. You guys are all on my Facebook group because you're on this call. So Yeah, stay in tune with the Facebook group. I'm always putting on this kind of stuff myself. I'm having guests, talk about REOs, novations, everything. So this is my cell phone to reach me directly, email, everything you guys need. Reach out to me anytime. The floor is yours with any questions. You guys have anything?
Bob,
Yeah.
don't you find it now that short sales, there's a lot of people have more equity now than they did back in 9, 10, 11, 12, along in there?
So I can't speak to compare that because I wasn't around, during the last recession. I was literally in high school, so I didn't even know that there was a, recession that existed. But from what other people tell me, Larry, and what I read about, I think what we're entering into now is different. I don't think it's going to be an all-out bottom out where, the whole country is going to lose equity. But right now we are absolutely seeing a ton of short sales. Last month alone, I mentioned in the beginning, last month, Larry, we closed on 11 deals. 10 of them were short sales.
Okay.
So they're absolutely out there. What we're seeing a lot of, which I think you guys should be on the lookout for now, is a lot of people who just purchased their property within the last 3 years, overpaid to such an extent because of these crazy bidding wars that they lost their job now because of what's going on. And now they can't sell their property the traditional way because they overpaid and they have no equity. So right now is actually a really good time, in my opinion, to start to prospect to people who just bought their houses. It sounds kind of crazy and it's a little unconventional, but I'm telling you, man, I mean, we did 3 of our short sale contracts, two or three, definitely 2, maybe 3 last month were of people who just purchased their property. One was in Texas, just purchased it this past March, and they're like $30,000 underwater.
Okay.
One of them was in Tennessee, purchased a year and a half ago. They're almost $50,000 underwater already.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. So yeah, I think it's going to be pocketed, Larry, for sure.
Okay. What do we need to send you? Maybe maybe it's probably on your website, but what do we need to send you when we have a possible short sale deal that you might be able to order?
Yeah, there's a 3-step process. You just go right onto my website and there's a wholesalers submit leads here. Literally, it's all set up for you guys. Or just honestly, like I'm trying to systemize it better, but honestly, just hit me up on Facebook. Facebook or email if you have a lead.
Okay. All right.
Justin just hopped in. He said, is it just starting? No, man,
I
it's
think he's an hour late.
you got the time zones mixed up. I try to put 11 a.m. Eastern, and then I put the Central because I know a lot of you guys are Central time too.
He's
So,
in Central Time, so
yeah, I know. Maybe I could do a better job, maybe I'll put it like in bold or something, but I know it gets confusing. I mean, but yeah, but it's recorded, Justin.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
I got a question. You mentioned talking to them being in a short sale, why it didn't get approved, the loan mod.
Yeah.
And it was the appraisal issue. So let's say that wasn't the issue for them. What could be another reason?
Another reason for the short sale not getting could be a lack of documentation. It could be not getting the documentation in time because the bank puts you on a time limit. Get everything so that some people get all their documents in, but if a short sale isn't properly being processed,
Don't put too much. You go
yeah,
to your mother's house today,
mute
tomorrow.
everybody here. I don't know who that is. John, if it's not being processed correctly, like my company, we have it down to, we have step by step, we have a staff to make sure that this doesn't happen. But a lot of people who try to do short sales themselves, you know, they get all the documents in, but by the time they do that, they literally run out of time, like the short sales expire. So, that happens a lot. Yeah, mostly those two things, I'd say. Mostly it's the appraisal though, man. It's crazy because a lot of homeowners, especially if they have a realtor that's doing their short sale for them, that's the listing agent that like isn't that versed in short sales, they'll apply for the short sale and the appraisal will come back super high and it gets denied, but nobody really knows why. So like all the homeowner has in their head is, oh crap, I applied for a short sale and then the short sale got denied. They don't understand that it literally just got denied because the appraisal came back too high. So as the investor, you could come in and solve that problem for them.
So, okay, so solving the problem, for example, when you said there's systems in place to do a new appraisal, is that what you mean? Would that
Yeah.
be to get the loan mod approved?
So the loan mod and the short sale are two different things. In the loan mod, there's no appraisal. The bank is only going to do an appraisal on a short sale because they want to know what the property's worth. So then they could decline or they could accept your short sale offer.
Okay, got it. So the short sale was not approved because of the appraisal.
Most of the time, that's what I find it is. Yeah. Most of the time. Yeah, but that's different from a loan mod. The loan mod, if the loan mod's denied, that means the seller's income didn't increase or their expenses didn't decrease.
So I have one more question, because when you said explain to them why the loan mod didn't go through. is
Yeah.
that what you-
No. Did I say that? If I said that, I misspoke.
I thought on the PowerPoint, I just don't, yeah, I thought it said.
No,
that.
I think, John, you might get the two slides mixed up. So you want to explain to them, so that's on the expired short sale listings.
Okay, got it.
Okay, sometimes a short sale gets expired and the homeowner, again, they don't know why. They just, all they know is the bank told them no. They don't actually know why.
Okay, got it. So then redoing the systems you have, would be able to redo everything. So it doesn't matter that the time expired, you can always resubmit. with your doc-
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So like, when it comes to the appraisals, we actually have two different ways we combat high appraisals. Most people, whenever a short sale gets denied because of like a high value, they just like give up on the deal. We actually have a system where like we'll actually wait out the appraisal. We'll like wait the bank out. We'll stall them out and then we'll resubmit and make them do another interior. So like we never give up on a deal. Yeah, and that's actually a little tip too. This could actually help you guys. I know, Justine, you said you're working on a short sale too. And like for anyone else who's like doing these short sales, guys, whenever an appraisal comes back high, because that's like a huge pain in the ass, part of what happens in short sales, you don't have to give up on the deal, okay? Whenever a bank has an appraisal on file from a third-party BPO agent, okay, that appraisal does not last forever. It has to expire eventually. What you want to do when that happens is call up the bank, find out what the expiration date is. They have to tell you that. Find out what that date is, write it down, and then once it expires, typically it's like 3-4 months. Once it expires, reopen the file and then request for them to do another interior. So yeah, you want to do that. They're going to hate you for it. And they're going to argue against it. But at the end of the day, just fight them tooth and nail on it. Because, all you have to say is, hey, you're denying our offer, but I'm doing it off of an expired value. You have to order another interior. Any other questions, guys?
Bob, what's usually your exit strategy when you do pre-foreclosure deals, or do you wholesale or?
Yeah, so if it's a pre-foreclosure with equity, We'll either wholesale it or we'll do a fix and flip. One that we bought last month, for example, where we actually bought it, we took title and we're renovating it and flipping it. So it all depends on the margins, Larry. Short sale deals, we have our fee-based system where, you know, if someone brings us a deal and like we're not buying it, the buyer just pays us a fee for my staff doing all the work, you know, and getting it finished. And then, you know, if I go in as the buyer, sometimes we do like a novation type of deal. Sometimes we'll double close it if there's no deed restrictions and if the margins make sense. Sometimes if it's a good enough deal, we'll just buy it and we'll wait out the deed restriction. So it all
Okay.
depends.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times we end up doing like the novation type of deal where we'll, you know, we'll be the A to B buyer, get it approved, and then if there's a deed restriction, we'll, you know, we'll get the C buyer in to sign a purchase contract with the seller.
Okay. I know you work in Chicago a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of short sales there. Cook County's
A lot
crazy.
of short sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cook County's always been, man. Like if you're in one, like if you're in one of these markets, like I was just talking to Justine about this before. If you're in any of these markets where the foreclosure process takes a while for the bank to actually foreclose, you're always going to find short sales. You're always going to find short sales because even if it's a hot market, low inventory, the deeper into pre-foreclosure a seller gets, the more interest penalties and fees compound against their principal balance. Like it eats up people's equity a lot faster than you think.
Okay. That's in a judicial state, right? Like Illinois. Okay. So, something I
Illinois
was,
takes forever to, yes.
yeah, probably one of the longest of it. And you're a realtor also,
I am a
aren't you?
licensed realtor. My license just sits in escrow. It's with EXP. I mean, I don't sell or I don't do anything with it, but it is active. But it, you know,
Active, but so you can wholesale then. I mean, you can only wholesale one deal in Illinois unless you're an agent or a attorney.
yeah. So with, yeah, that's tricky. So I talked to an attorney about that, Larry. He actually said that with our strategy, we're like good. But I don't know if I would even risk it or take the chance with it. But he said because we're not like assigning the deals, like it doesn't apply. But I don't know. Who knows?
Okay.
Any other?
Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
talked to an attorney. He never heard of such thing as that, as not being able to wholesale. But I think Illinois is one of the only, well, maybe Oklahoma, somebody said was getting something along with it.
Yeah. Oklahoma is really strict with wholesaling.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, one question, Bob. You mentioned, so you had two strategy. One of them is a novation and a double close.
Yeah, it's a novation, John, but I use that term very lightly because it's different from a traditional novation. Like there's tons, you have to disclose everything you're doing in writing to the bank. And then it's not as easy in like a normal novation. Like I'm like the A to B, I could just pull myself out and then plug that end buyer in, right?
Right.
The short sale, it's more complicated because now you have to get a brand new short sale approval letter in that new buyer's name. So there's just more steps and it's a bit more nuanced, but from a bird's eye view, it's the same concept as like a novation, but it's just, you know, it's just more complicated because it's a short sale. You know?
So then, if it's a short sale we're bringing to you, they would know the process, right? Of how, when we explain, you would explain to them the process of doing a novation
You mean the bank?
to the seller.
Yeah, yeah. The way we do short sales, whatever our exit strategy is, we 100%. Like if I'm coming in with an offer to the seller, I'm very, very transparent. Like, hey, listen, we're gonna come in with an offer. If we could get it at our price, great. If we don't agree with the price or the terms the bank gives us, we're gonna step aside as the buyer, but we're gonna keep processing the short sale for you. and then we'll get somebody else to buy it. And usually they're cool with that because they just want the short sale done. They don't care who the buyer is.
Hmm.
You know? Anybody else, guys? Anything on lead gen, pre-foreclosures? Nothing at all. All right, cool. Listen, everybody, thanks for coming. Stay plugged into my Facebook group. You know, I'm going to keep on getting different guests on. It's not just me that comes on here and blabs to you guys about, you know, pre-foreclosures and stuff. I have awesome guests that come on that talk about REOs, novations, you know, different kind of stuff. So stay plugged into that. Feel free to reach out to me anytime with pre-foreclosure short sale questions. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Later, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Later.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.